I'm going to switch this up and read Job, chapters 38 through 40. And this is one of my favorite parts of the whole Bible because God is speaking to Job. He's literally talking, and I love in the fashion that he speaks. And Job, if you don't know the story of Job, he lost everything. His whole fortune, all of his family died. All of his livestock gone, his money gone, everything gone. And he was a very wealthy man. And to boot, he was very sick. He had sores all over his body so bad that the nurses walked in and they took one smell of it and they left. And even his wife told him just to curse God and die. But the whole point to Job is he never cursed God. He never said, why? I haven't done anything wrong. Why is this happening to me? So in chapters, I want to say the first 30 chapters, Job had 3 friends who came and they were just blah, 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 blah. For 30 chapters, they told him, this sickness is because of your sin. Just admit your sin so you can be forgiven, so you can get healed and all better. And they were convinced of it, and they tried to convince him of it, but he was like, I don't have any sin. And they didn't believe him. But anyway, at one point, Job starts to second-guess himself, and he isn't second-guessing God. He's not saying, why, God? But he's wondering what he did do. So he asked God, what did I do, And God finally speaks up, and he steps in, and he tells him some stuff. That's what we're going to share. Chapter 38. Then the Lord answered Job out of a whirlwind. I wonder what that looked like. And said, who is this that wrappeth up sentences in unskillful words? He's like, who are these guys you're listening to? Gird up thy loins like a man. I will ask thee, and you answer me. Where was thou when I laid the foundations of the earth? Tell me, if you have understanding. Who hath laid the measures thereof? If thou knowest, or who has stretched out the line upon it? Upon what are its bases grounded? Or who laid the cornerstone thereof? When the morning stars praised me together, and all of the sons of God made a joyful melody, who shut up the sea with doors when it broke forth as issuing out of a womb? When I made a cloud of garment thereof, and wrapped it in the midst, as in swaddling bands? I set my bounds around it, and I made it a bar and doors, unchangeable. And I said, hitherto thou shalt come, and thou shalt go no further. This wave will not move beyond this spot, and here thou shalt break thy swelling waves. Did thou say thy birth command the morning, and show the dawning of the day its place? And didst thou hold the extremities of the earth, shaking them? And hast thou shaken the ungodly out of it? He's like, I make earthquakes, and I shake the ungodly out when I do that. The seal shall be restored as clay, and shall stand as a garment. From the wicked their light shall be taken away, and the high arm shall be broken. Hast thou entered into the depths of the sea, and walked in the lowest parts of the deep? God does that. Is that incredible? He's gone where no man could go. Have the gates of death been opened to thee? And hast thou seen some darksome doors? Do you even know what hell looked like? Hast thou considered the breadth of the earth? Tell me, if you know all things. Where is the way where light dwelleth? And where is the place of darkness? That thou may bring everything into its own bounds, and understand the paths of the house thereof. Did thou know that when you should have been born? Did you know the number of your days? Have you entered into the storehouses of snow, Or have you beheld the treasures of the hail, which I have prepared for the time of the enemy against the day of battle and war? That is awesome. God's like, I got storehouses full of snow and hail, and one day it's going to hail down on my enemies. I'm storing it up. I don't know where I read this or heard this, but I heard that the hail is actually prayers of the saints combined, condensed. We'll see. And by saints, I mean us. By what way is the light spread and the heat divided upon the earth? Who gave a course to violent showers, or a way for noisy thunder? That it should rain on the earth without a man in the wilderness, where no mortal dwelleth? He's like, I not only take care of man, but I take care of the whole earth. And you aren't even looking. That it should fill the desert and desolate land and bring forth green grass? Father can grow green grass in the desert. Who is the father of the rain? And who begot the drops of dew? Who brought that idea? Out of whose womb came the ice and the frost from heaven, who have gathered it? And waters are hardened like stone, ice, and the surface of the deep is congealed. Shall thou be able to join together the shining stars of Pleiades? That's the Taurus bull. Or canst thou stop the turning about of Arcturus? That's the bear constellation. Canst thou bring forth the day star in its time, the sun, and make the evening star to rise upon the children of the earth? Like, who put the moon there? I did that. God did that. Dost thou know the order of heaven? And can thou set down reason thereof on the earth? It means I'm the judge in heaven too. Canst thou lift up thy voice to the clouds, that an abundance of water may cover thee? Can you make it rain? Can thou send lightning? And will they go? And will they return and say to thee, here we are? Can you make lightning and thunder and hail and rain and snow? But God can, and did. Who hath put wisdom in the heart of a man? And who gave the cock understanding? Who can declare the order of heavens? And who can make harmony of heaven to sleep? When was the dust poured on the earth, and the clods fastened together? Will thou take prey for the lioness, and satisfy the appetite of her whelps? Will you allow the lion to eat its prey? Yep. When thy cat crouch in thy dens, and lie in wait in holes, who provideth food for the raven, when her young ones cry to God, wandering about because they have no meat? Chapter 39. Knowest thou the time when the wild goats bring forth among the rocks? And hast thou observed the hinds when they fawn? When they fawn? I think that's what it says. Hast thou numbered the months of their conceiving, or knowest that the time when they bring forth? They bow themselves to bring forth young, and they cast them and send forth roarings. Their young are weaned and go to feed, and they go forth and return not to them. How heartbreaking. Reminds me of having 2 sons that never call me. Heartbreaking. Who hath sent out the wild ass free, and who hath loosened his bonds? My kids call, but I just want them to call more. To whom I have given a house in the wilderness, and his dwellings in the barren land. He scorneth the multitude of the city. He heareth not the cry of the driver. He looketh around about the mountains of his pasture, and seeketh for every green thing. He's talking about the mountain man, how he doesn't have to worry about what's going on in the city. He can survive because of God. Shall the rhinoceros be willing to serve thee, or will he stay in thy crib? Can thou bind the rhinoceros with thy thong to plow? No. Or will he break the clouds of the valley after thee? Oh, yeah, there would be a big problem if you tried to plow with the rhinoceros. God's having a little fun here, isn't he? Wilt thou have confidence in his great strength and leave thy labors to him? Wilt thou trust him that he will render thee the seed and gather it into thy barn floor? The wing of the ostrich is like the wings of the heron and of the hawk. When she leaveth her eggs in the earth, thou perhaps wilt warm them in the dust. She forgetteth that the foot may tread upon them, and that the beast of the field may break them. She is hardened against her young ones, as though they were not hers. She hath labored in vain, no fear constraining her. For God hath deprived her of her wisdom, neither hath he given her understanding. How kind a Father. When we give birth and we have children here, it breaks us beyond any imaginable breaking point when our children are even harmed, much less lost, gone, dead. But the ostrich, he didn't give her that understanding. She lays the eggs. She goes about her merry way. They live. They don't. And then she raises them up, feeds them, and boots them out, and doesn't give a thought, because she has no understanding. That was very kind of God to do that, because any mother would know what I mean. Or father. When time shall be, she setteth up her wings on high. She scorneth the horse and its rider. In other words, she rides pretty high and pretty fast. She puts the cowboy to shame. Will thou give strength to the horse, or clothe his neck with neighing? Will thou lift him up like the locust? The glory of his nostrils in terror. He breaketh up the earth with his foot. He pranceth boldly. He goes forth to meet armed men. He despiseth fear. He turneth not his back to the sword. Above him shall the quiver rattle, and the spear and the shield shall glitter. Chasing and raging he swalloweth the ground. Neither doth he make account when the noise of the trumpet soundeth. When he heareth the trumpet, he saith, Ha ha! He smelleth the battle afar off, the encouraging of the captains and the shouting of the army. Doth the hawk wax feathered by the wisdom, spreading her wings to the south? Will the eagle mount up at thy command, and make her nest in high places? She abideth among the rocks, and dwelleth among craggy flints and stony hills, where there is no access. From thence she looks for the prey, and her eyes behold afar off. Her young ones shall suck up blood, and wheresoever the carcass shall be, she is immediately there. And the Lord went on and said to Job, Shall he that contendeth with God be so easily silenced? Surely he that reproveth God ought to answer him. He's like, okay, your turn. What you got to say, Job? I said all that. Now you're going to answer. Then Job answered the Lord and said, What can I answer, who have spoken so inconsiderately? And I will lay my hand upon my mouth. He's like, never mind. One thing I have spoken, which I wish I had not said, and another to which I will add no more. He's like, I'm sorry. Forget it. Anyway, that's my interpretation. Thanks for joining me. Job should remind you to put all of your faith in God, no matter what the circumstances. All of it. Bar none. Every single stitch of your life, plans, thoughts, to God.